Hey, guys, back to Assassin's Creed Graded. Last time we talked about Assassin's Creed 2, which came out in 2009, came Assassin's Creed 2 Discovery, but then right after that in 2010, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, continuing the story of Ezio for PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and of course Windows. Okay, so Assassin's Creed Brotherhood continued the story of Ezio. He's now a little older, little wiser, got some facial hair.
Looking
And
good,
he's
by the
come
way.
back. Right, he's come back after beating the Pope. He did not kill Rodrigo, and now he's back to he's back home at his home, and everything's pretty good. Everyone's happy. Then all of a sudden, along comes Cesare Borgia, the son of Rodrigo, and he kills Uncle Mario, and so he has to run away from home and go to Rome, the seat of Catholic power, to take on Cesare. And what a different game this was. Okay, so let me just go ahead and tell my first impressions, and I'll let you talk a little bit about it. My first impression about this game was beautiful but short. I don't know why. I always felt a little shorter than the other games, which it shouldn't have felt that way. It really shouldn't have, because it had a lot more going on. There was all kinds of, like, this was the first game that when we saw the trailer, the first thing that stood out to us was other assassins. This was the first game where you could recruit assassins. And so we spent most of our time in this game running around and recruiting assassins. That was so much fun for us. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But I don't know why. I always felt like this game just ran so much quicker than all the others. Did you get that feeling?
I got it too, and also it seemed a little bit convenient in a lot of sense. And here's what I mean by that. In the first game, a lot of the side characters that you interact with and work with, like La Volpe or Bartolomeo, they're in their own locations doing their own thing. But now they're all conveniently set up in Rome.
Yeah,
Like,
very
okay,
nice setup there.
like, I mean, okay, La Volpe I can find because he's sort of like the master thief that goes all over, and so Rome would be a particular interest for him. But you expect really Bartolomeo set up his own little mini fort within inside the walls of Rome, and they had to hire the French to come and fight him instead of just getting the papal guards to do it. I'm like going,
Yeah.
hey, what's going on here? But
Yeah.
I haven't checked like how historically accurate Bartolomeo is or La Volpe. I think La Volpe is just purely a creation of Ubisoft.
Probably.
But he kind of fits in there with it. But so I can sort of look past it. And another problem I have with it, and it'll be a problem in later games too. But in both 1 and in 2, you went to multiple different cities. In the first one, you had 3 cities. You had Damascus, Acre, and Jerusalem. In the second game, you had that city in Tuscany, you had Florence, and you had Venice. And so you got to see 3 different landscapes along with the Italian countryside. And the first game, you got to see the Levant. Not a lot of it, but you did get to see some of it. And this one, you are solely in Rome except for a few side missions. And
right,
so,
and I agree with that. They try to make up for it, though, with a few things, but we'll get into that when we talk about game mechanics and stuff.
yeah.
Let's first talk about story. Story-wise, I think that's where the game does okay. The whole the story, if you were to negotiate it down to a single explanation, it's Ezio wants to take out Cesare because Cesare took out Mario, his uncle, and he wants to save Rome from the Borgias. Pretty simple, straightforward, makes sense, and he, other than a few side quests, doesn't deviate from that. And this was the first game that again involved recruiting assassins, but it was also the first game that it involved taking territory. You had to capture territories of Rome from the Borgia and claim them for the people, which was fun. I thought that was creative.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I got really disappointed whenever I would get late in the game and I would start I would have so few places to take over because it was like, oh, this is fun.
And getting assassins. Okay, let's talk about recruiting assassins for a second.
Okay, yes.
We got to talk about this. So recruiting assassins in Brotherhood was a lot of fun. Basically, what you do is when you capture a territory from the Borgia, you wander around and you'll sometimes find citizens being persecuted or abused by the Borgia. You go in, you save the citizens, and they will ask to join you. You can then recruit them. You can recruit men and women. And what happens is you use these assassins to help you out. You can use them to assassinate or attack other guards. You can send them on missions to different parts of Europe to do assassin's missions and gain experience for them. And over time, they can become stronger and stronger assassins that serve you. Will and I, Post Commodore and I actually spent time. We would take our time doing it because we wanted to get an even split of guys and girls, just because we wanted to have so much fun with it. It was.
Yeah, I was kind of a jerk about it because, like, I was like, no, only the best looking can be my assassins.
I was the same. Like, you come up to this guy, he looks ugly as sin. Nope, you walk away. You can die to the board. I don't care.
Yeah, I was just like, if I had unlimited slots, I really wouldn't care. But I had limited slots. Like, I wanted, like, because when you look at the assassins menu, you like get like a perfect look at their face, and for someone like, I accidentally picked up this one guy. He was absolutely hideous. And the way I knew he was hideous is because he looked like me. And so I was just like, I don't need that reminder. We called him Buttface Stan. That was our nickname for him. So I said, go, Stan, go try and protect the Protestant Reformation in England. It was like a level 5 mission. There was like 1 to 2% chance of success. It's like, I don't want to see you. 5 minutes later, he succeeded. And now he's like rank 8. I was like, okay, well, you know what? You earned your place. You can stay. But I did like, it was limited customization because you only like changed their color. And then when they became a master assassin, they just got your outfit.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what I loved is calling in arrow strikes. So if you had like if you filled up the meter, just walk into town, like there's like 30 different guards going like, oh, you think you can take us? Me? Maybe not. But us, we can. Clench your fist. They get shot with crossbow bolts, and they all collapse, and you just stroll on your merry way. It is such a power trip.
It is. It made you feel really good. But we got distracted. Let's get back to the story.
Yeah, but anyway, okay. But one more thing about the assassins, I will add. Once they finish assassinating their target, if there's still combat going on, they will fight for you. And unless they're at very low levels, they're actually pretty darn good.
Yeah, which I liked. But okay, back to story. So a little bit about the villains here. Cesare and his sister, what was her name? I forget.
Lucrezia
Borgia. And then you had a French prince.
Or some kind of French general noble guy that we just called, it's the French guy.
Yeah. Can we just agree that they were pretty weak as villains go?
Lucrezia had her moments, but Cesare, he didn't have the same appeal as his father did. Like, he was his father with a sense of sort of insanity, which I would sort of like, the Borgia family in history is really messed up. Like when they talk about like sort of the incestuous relationship. Yeah, that's not entirely fictitious. So
yeah, there was truth to that.
I fully expect his brain to be sort of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And so he's a little messed up. What is interesting, even though it is a story of revenge, Ezio seems more calm the whole time than Cesare. Even though Cesare starts off on top, and Ezio's just like, I'm going to get you, but I ain't going to lose my cool while I do.
If you want to play a drinking game that kills you within hours, take a drink every time Cesare screams when he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Like, the dude has no volume control. He will just scream everything.
And you do know why.
Why?
Cesare is Daubeny.
My God.
Yeah, Ubisoft sometimes recycles their voice actors, but
no, that just hit me. That Daubeny
it makes so much sense now, doesn't it?
Now I get it, Daubeny. Now I understand when
his search for Larry the whole time was to try and find somebody who could best Ezio, and then they stole the one guy that could do it from him.
That's so awesome. God, that's amazing. Okay, so moving on. Sorry, that was awesome. Then there were a few other people that show up besides the Borgias. Oh, we got to talk about this with the way Rodrigo died. Rodrigo finally dies in this game, but how he died is probably one of the most disrespectful things to do to his character. And I don't know how historically accurate it is. I'm not familiar with the Borgias' history as well as I should be.
Just know it's contentious and a lot crazy.
The way he died I was like, wow, this is what you're going to do with this amazing villain.
Well, it's probably more historically accurate than him getting beaten to death with a magical pope staff. So,
okay, fair enough.
And considering the psychoticness of his family, you know what? I'm willing to let it slide. So, because we don't know 100% of what happened in there.
Very
And
soon.
the Papal States, when they were like full-on country before they were just Vatican City, there was some wild chicanery that went on in there. And to which Catholics today look back and just go, that was really a hit and miss time for us, wasn't it? What were they thinking? Because a lot of the
Well,
time,
it's the Italian Wars.
Italy that back then was just like every city state for himself, including the Vatican.
Speaking of which, let's talk about how they wage those wars. Leonardo da Vinci is back, and he has been held prisoner by the Borgia to craft weapons specifically for them. And some of your side quests are actually to go out and help Leonardo by destroying these weapons. But you get to use the weapons on the Borgia before you destroy them, which is, I always loved those missions.
Oh, yes, because the best part, like when you're using the flying machine that you had from from the second game, but you can actually make your own fire, so you can just stay in flight perpetually. It was like, okay, that's a lot of fun. But my favorite was the tank.
The tank was so kick-ass, let's just be honest.
Yes. And I know some people just, it's just so stupid. And it's like, yeah, it is. But here's the fun part about it. Leonardo da Vinci actually was held against his will for a time and actually did design weapons. Like, some of them looked like they could work like a multi-shot cannon, and others like a giant crossbow, which was clearly him just going, oh, you want something good? Here, let me give that to you. But seeing some of these, and you're just like, wow, Leonardo, I like what you're doing. Like, you can see how it's a tank, and you can also see how it's like has that Renaissance flair to it. It's like steampunk before steampunk, like Renaissance punk or something like that.
The only sad thing is he doesn't give you very many tools anymore. He only gives you like 3. The ability to shoot poison darts.
Yeah, and you have to get
parachutes, and then one other, and I can't remember what that is.
I can't remember what it is, but the thing is, he would like he had to sell you back some of the stuff that you had previously lost.
Yeah,
but
that wasn't that. I wanted him to give us more stuff.
His part was diminished, which is sad, but it was still good to see him.
Yeah, he was a good character,
and he actually starts to look like his old, like how he looks in the portraits, like his older self, grayer beard, longer hair, that sort of thing.
Let's talk about another in this, because Leonardo was brought back, but this was added. Let's talk about because I want to know how historically accurate this is. I don't know how accurate it is. The followers of Romulus.
I'm pretty sure that's just made up bull.
Yeah, okay, so apparently in the game, just like in the game, you need to go to certain tombs and crypts and collect pieces and parts to unlock a new set of armor. And you need to steal these keys from an underground cult called the Followers of Romulus. Basically, these wild savage dudes wearing wolf armor. And God, I always hated those guys.
Yeah, a lot of those missions didn't have the same flair as getting Altair's set. And even then, when you finally got Romulus's armor, it didn't look as good.
Yeah, it looked pretty
as
lame.
Altair's. And it's not really necessary, so I didn't focus on it typically as much. But as far as the historical accuracy, Romans, even to this day, do hold up a lot of old Roman traditions, including going back to Romulus. And look at the big deal. I mean, before Jesus hit the scene, the Romans used like the founding of Rome as their calendar date. Like, oh, how many years is it? It's 400 years after the founding of Rome. So that's the date. So even to this day, Romans have a lot of pride in their heritage, but and they would, in some cases, venerate a lot of Rome's famous people, including Romulus. But I have no record of during Renaissance Italy that there was a cult called the Followers of Romulus.
I don't know either, but I will say this. There was a character that was brought in who was an assassin. But the fact that he's an assassin is a little interesting. They brought in Niccolo Machiavelli.
Yeah, that one surprised me when I first saw it.
That was a shock. I would not have expected him to be an assassin.
I would have expected him to do it working the other way around, honestly.
Exactly. I mean, I've read Niccolo Machiavelli's work. I have actually studied the dude. His personality based on history does not meet the assassins. Maybe that's why he's such a suspect in the game, because La Volpe doesn't want to help you at first because he suspects Niccolo Machiavelli of being a traitor. And I'm like, yeah, that was kind of my guess too.
Yeah, that's kind of just like, I'm not sure I can trust, but no, like he's actually like a stand-up dude. I'm just like, that's probably where the most historically inaccurate thing is.
Niccolo Machiavelli was a bastard. I'm sorry, he was.
He was a very efficient bastard, but a bastard. If you've read The Prince.
Okay, but yeah, story-wise, I think we can safely say Pretty
It was
decent.
okay.
Pretty decent.
It was all right. I don't think it was as well crafted as the storyline we had in 2,
Hmm.
but the storyline was definitely there. It seemed more like, how should I put it? It seemed more like a storyline for like a cartoon episode based off of a
Yeah.
movie. Like if the first one was Batman, if Assassin's Creed 2 was Batman Begins, Brotherhood was the Batman TV show.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. So we've talked about the historical accuracy. We've talked about the story mode, like how good the story is. Let's talk mechanics.
All right.
We already talked about recruiting assassins, and we talked about liberating territory.
The best part of the game.
Obviously, and the part that sold a lot of people on it. Let's
That
talk
trailer
about
was phenomenal, arguably the best one.
customization. Do you think the customization was better or worse this time around?
It was kind of similar. Now, here's the thing. I know I'm going to get some flack for this. I am not as big a fan of his Brotherhood uniform, and I know that's going to surprise people because that's the most iconic.
Nah, I'm not a fan
But
of it either.
but the thing is, I don't know. It kind of looked like it was too flashy and out there. You're almost kind of glowing, which kind of like you're kind of glowing unless you change the color pigmentation. So it just didn't seem quite as right to me. It
Yeah.
also seemed a little too Renaissance, like the collar I never was a big fan of. It doesn't look bad by any metric, but it's not what I would have picked. But
Right.
they put that dang thing up anywhere. Like you can in other games, like if they want to give you Ezio's outfit, that's the outfit they go with. That his Roman outfit.
Yeah, for me, I agree with you. It wasn't my favorite.
Yeah,
I
but
did custom, but weapon wise, fighting wise, I felt like they added this thing now in the game where you have to perform certain tasks to get full synchronization.
and
Like,
also to unlock certain weapons, like you had
like
to like go and get special items to turn in, which I didn't like because it's just like, how am I going to find Buddhist prayer beads in Renaissance Italy?
Well, I'm not even talking about that. I mean, that is a thing. You did have to collect certain rare items, but I'm talking about like if to complete this mission on full synchronization, you need to
Oh yeah,
kill 5 guys without
or
taking a
you can't
hit.
swim or whatever, and that really irritated me. It's like, let me do the dang game the way I want to do it, not by your
Yeah,
standards.
exactly. Don't tell me what to do. I'm the assassin.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I suppose it's okay because it didn't say like, oh, you desynchronized if you did this. Another problem with the game, speaking of desynchronization, is I think Brotherhood is the worst of the Ezio trilogy in regards to if if somebody sees you while you're supposed to be on like a mandatory stealth mission, like they will like telepathically let every other guard know desynchronizing you. Even if you jump on them and while you're assassinating, if they see you while you're killing them, they will go telepathically sent out
yeah,
even
everyone
though
just
they
knows.
die before they can tell anybody. I'm just like, why?
Yeah, I agree with that. But let's talk about something else that's vital to this. As we talked about it last game, but Desmond Miles, Desmond's part. They did a little bit more with this. Again, you have him making quips with the other assassins, but they give him a little bit more room to run around and roam.
Yeah, well, you
He's
don't run around in Rome. You're actually in.
I was meaning ROAM, not roam the place.
Sorry.
Moving around. He can actually leave the assassin's den and go around and collect things and do things. But the problem is he's not doing anything. He's just collecting cool crap and then bringing
Well,
it
I
back.
enjoyed jumping out of it just so I could interact and see the banter between like Rebecca and what was the guy's name again? Sean.
Sean Mendez or something.
Yeah, and I enjoyed seeing them fight. Like I love the part like where they're just like where you
Sean
just
Hastings. I said it wrong. It was
John Hastings. Yeah, that's it. But it's
Why did I say
like
Sean Mendez?
you go and you eat a burger, and Rebecca, who's apparently a vegan, goes carnivore, and he goes hypocrite, and he goes off on this tangent how about some plants eat meat. Like just seeing them, and also going just like when Sean goes, computers can do many things, not love though, not love. And every time I'm like personal experience there, Sean.
And then, of course, when Desmond walks up to the statue of Altair and just, hey, what's the matter, you Altair? That's racist. You're racist. Really? They had good banter. I thought the banter was funny. The problem is, and it comes down to this, it's pointless. It doesn't add anything. to the story anyway.
I like viewing it all as sort of like an Easter egg, and the only thing that really kills it for me is the ending of Brotherhood.
Oh gosh. Okay, so at the end of Brotherhood, you play as Desmond, and you find out where not Altair, sorry, where Ezio buried the Apple of Eden, and you're going down there to get it. So you go into Rome. You travel through Rome. You get
To the Colosseum.
you get to the Colosseum. You go down to get the Apple of Altair, the Apple of Ezio, and right when you're about to grab it, suddenly a precursor appears. One of those Ainu or whatever. Isu, yeah, whatever. And takes control of Desmond's body to stab Lucy out of nowhere.
Just right out of nowhere, and people go, oh, there are signs that she was actually going to betray you. And I'm going, and even now, I know Ubisoft has actually technically made that canon. I still think it's bull.
No, let me tell you why I think they did that. This is my theory. I think it's because the Isu, or whatever they're called, thought that she would emotionally compromise Desmond because they were building a relationship. So they decided, oh, well, we need you to save us. You can't be emotionally compromised, so you need to kill her. Because if you leave her alive, she'll try to stop you from doing what you need to do, and we can't have that, so you need to kill her. But then, we don't want to do that. She was secretly a Templar the whole time. And I'll tell you why I think that's bullcrap. Because they left no hints. There were no hints at all along the way. I think a lot of people were like, wait, what? When did that happen? When was she, like, I guess you could argue that she was secretly an agent, but
you could, but the thing is, why break out of the Templar facility anyway? Why at the end of 2 are you able to actually get away with killing several Templar agents in the real world? It doesn't make sense. And another thing is that supports your theory is apparently Minerva, which was the blue Isu lady, is the one that actually had plans in 3 to actually use you to escape captivity, whereas Juno, the one you saw in 2, was the one that wanted you to figure out everything else and was against Minerva.
See why this crap is so stupid? I mean, I swear, this stuff makes no sense. They added it for more lore. Can we have a game of Assassin's Creed where we forget that crap and just deal with the fun of Assassins versus Templars? Can we remember when those were good?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. Like, why did the ancient aliens have to play such a big part in it? That it always drove me kind of crazy. And also the whole controversy about, I remember like YouTube around the time everyone was debating, was she actually a Templar? Was she? But
why do you think that debate existed? Because it was so poorly written.
Yeah. They only say, like, the thing that counteracts that, and Sir Awesomeness, is since we're talking about the Piece of Eden, the fact that in Brotherhood is the time you actually get to use a Piece of Eden. Walking through the streets of Rome, making every civilian bow to you and every guard's head explode was amazing.
Okay, yeah, it was.
That was just phenomenal. And I wasted so much time just taking the longest route I could, just going, bow to me.
Anyway, but talked a great deal about this game. Let's give it a grade. Will, Post Commodore, what grade do you think we should give it?
I'd give it a B+. And my reasoning for that is the story is a little lackluster compared to the previous one, and in certain places seem rushed. The mechanics, fighting-wise, I think are solid, especially the pistol being easier to reload. But even though it's historically inaccurate, the climbing mechanics, I think, got worse, because I found myself jumping off of buildings more intentionally, not to mention the constant desynchronizations for getting caught doing random stuff. It irritated me. You were more likely to lose based on getting seen by some random guy half a mile away than you were to actually die via combat. And so that puts a damper on it, but still, recruiting assassins, running around, doing all this stuff, it is a game that is more dedicated towards the fun factor that it is towards the crafting and everything. So the fun factor sometimes took everything else took a backseat to the fun factor, in my opinion. It's still a good game. Yeah. It has replayability, but I still think it's a B+. Okay, I know it's going to upset some people because that's their favorite, but that's
I agree. I'm going to go with a B as well. Maybe not a B+. I'm going to go with a B, but it's good. I agree. I think that they added some things I didn't like. They killed Lucy, and they didn't never explain why. They didn't with it anyway. They added a lot of things that I didn't really get. The character was not nearly as cool as Rodrigo. But the recruiting assistants, the liberatories, Rome, even though it was the only place you could be, was beautiful. There were a lot of really cool things about it. I can't hate on it. So I think B is a fair grade to give this one.
All right,
But
so
anyway,
I
guys,
think B plus. You think B? So yeah, I think B is a good, like high B would be a good way to put
high
it.
B would be a
Okay.
good place to put it. So this one's a B, guys. Thank you for joining us on Assassin's Creed Graded. We will see you in the next one to deal with the last game in the Ezio trilogy. We will see you then. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye, guys.